Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it. The JAMODI podcast is powered by Sideline Interactive. Sideline Interactive is the leading manufacturer for high-quality, innovative scoring tables and LED video display boards that help coaches and schools bring more excitement to fans, create huge fundraising opportunities, and make their jobs easier. Visit sidelineinteractive.com to check out their amazing products. This question I get to ask a lot, and every coach has experienced defeat in some way. Not many coaches get to experience it at that stage, that you were at. And you've had some success with other teams, but this last year in such a big moment, man, how do you handle defeat with your team?
That was I guess I started crunching the numbers on some stuff after the season, and I realized that the last 6 years we've gone 30-3 in the state playoffs, and we had 7 games that were 2-possession games in those state tournament runs, and that Beaumont United game was the first 2-possession game we lost.
Wow.
And I think if you put yourself out there enough times, you're going to drop one eventually at some point. But the way we talk about defeat is really it's a learning opportunity, and it's a chance to kind of you learn from wins. You learn a lot from defeats. People examine things a little closer and take a little deeper dive into what happened or what's going on, and it's for us. It's always about our quality of play. And I kind of came to a point, I don't know, a long time ago, that if our quality of play was satisfactory, we had high quality play and we lost, then so be it. If you played well and you beat us, then hats off to you. Now if we did not play well, then that'll stick in my craw a little bit, and that's going to make me really dig down about what we need to fix, what we got to get right in those situations. But that Beaumont United game, I knew going into that game that they had pretty good size compared to us. You saw us, we're strong, but we're not very big height wise.
Yeah.
And so we knew rebounds are going to be big, and I felt like if we won the rebounds, we're going to win the game. And I felt like if we kept the rebounds within 5 to 6, losing the rebound battle of 5 or 6 boards, we still had a really good chance. And we lost the rebounds by 11, and it's just that little bit right there. That was kind of the tipping point, Yeah. And so after that game, I talked about just how proud of him I was for probably weren't very many people in Texas that picked us to be in the state championship game at the start of the year.
Wow.
And only 2 teams make it every year.
That's got to be pretty satisfying.
It's when you sit back and look at it, yes, I would have loved to won that game, but I told my wife the next day I'd be a little bit happier if we won, in that moment, but I don't know that I'd be a lot more satisfied, because I felt really satisfied with what the guys did that year. I felt really satisfied with what we accomplished overall, and maybe it's just having won state championships before, maybe that gives me a different perspective. But I could look back over the year and be really proud of our guys and be really pleased. We played the toughest 5A schedule in the state according to Max Preps, and we went 36-5 against it. And I can't ask for much more than that, Coach.
Yeah, it's not bad, but you're right. I think like guys like you that are more transformational. I just kind of thought to Hubert Davis, like I would imagine, that he really wanted to win, but I would imagine based on the season that they had, not many people had picked them. I mean, in fact, I had Baylor beating them going forward. Mm-hmm. Right. And so you have a run like that, but just kind of hearing some things from him, you guys both seem similar, and it's not about resulting, and it's not about just the wins and losses, but I would imagine he's pretty satisfied too. I was going to ask, so that, how do you handle defeat? Well, most of the time when I ask that question or coaches talk about it, they've actually lost quite a bit, or like I can answer that question very well because we've had more losses. You're on that other side of it where 30-3 in state playoffs, multiple 30-win seasons in the last few years. You probably have to coach a lot more through the wins and make sure that you're learning lessons a lot. Because the tendency for me is if we do win, sometimes to look past it and go on to the next challenge that's ahead. Maybe what was your process like after a win of still making that or making sure you get better?
It's after every big win, I would tell our guys three things. I said, one, handle your success. You're never as good as everyone says you are. You're never as bad as everyone says you are. The truth's somewhere in the middle. So if it was a particularly big win, the next day at school, you're going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. Okay, you're not really any different than you were 2 hours ago. You just had a good win. So handle your success, stay grounded with it. Two, protect your chemistry. Chemistry is extremely valuable. Protect that chemistry and don't start worrying about so-and-so scored this or I didn't get this or whatever. Protect your chemistry. And then the third thing, and this is big, man. This is big these days. Listen to the right voices. The kids have so many voices in their ears, from their high school coaches to their parents, to AU coaches, their trainers, or their neighbors, to whoever. There's a gazillion voices. Social media has just cranked up the volume on the voices 1,000-fold. And I tell the guys, you can't stop the voices. You can't stop the voices. You have to be able to filter the voices and listen to the right ones. And the only people that truly know how we're trying to do what we're trying to do are the people in our locker room. And so, make sure you listen to the right voices. Someone praises you, accept the praise, say thank you, and then deflect it to your teammates.
Yeah.
Deflect that praise to your teammates, and make sure that that the people talking to you and praising you understand the contributions that other people made in order for you to be successful.
One thing that made me think about that your second point there about protecting chemistry. So social media is here. It's not going anywhere, and programs use it. And I think it can be used in a good way to promote your program or to share the positive things that are happening there, to highlight your players in a good way instead of being highlighted in a negative way. How are ways, because I've always tried to toe that line with, you have a few individuals that are going to get more attention, especially at school like you, with the success you've had and the quality of players that you have that are going to go play. They're going to get accolades. They're going to do amazing things. What are some strategies that you've done that we want to celebrate them and promote them, but we also have to protect our chemistry? What are some things you've done?
Just really emphasize the team concept. You might have, there's lots of schools that have really good individual players that don't have all the team success. And I will point that out to them regularly, that hey, guys on other schools around the Metroplex that are really, really talented and get a lot of attention and things like that, and the team gets knocked out in the second round, third round or something, or didn't make playoffs. So understand the value, and I make it really clear that everyone on the team has value.
Yeah.
And some guys are going to play more, some guys are going to play less, some guys are going to score more, some guys are going to score less. But everyone on the team, they're there because they have a contributing role. And the kids know that if you're not on the varsity at Timberview, if you're not going to have a contributing role, there's something you bring to the table. It might be on the floor, it might be more on the bench, it might be more in the locker room. It could be somewhere that doesn't show up in a stat sheet. We have some really, really big contributors that don't have very good stats at all, but they contribute in really big ways, and there are things that they do that no one's ever going to celebrate on Twitter or talk about in a newspaper article or anything like that.
That's right.
But you got to have those guys that do those things, or you're not going to be successful as the group. And so I'm just really big on, I tell them, kind of media 101, when you're talking to media of some kind, promote your team, promote your teammates, someone praises you, say thank you, appreciate it, and then deflect that praise onto some of your teammates and onto some of your assistant coaches.
Man, such a great message, because and that media, that really has to do with now, because these different groups out there, and not that they have bad intentions at all, but they'll just post something with that player's handle on it, that without asking anybody's permission in any way. And again, it's not all bad stuff, but yeah, you're really putting a lot of responsibility on a 17-year-old to see that praise and handle it the right way in front of however many thousands of people that could see. So that awareness on your part and your staff to give them the heads up on how to handle that right is great. It's great.
We tell them, you're a part of this program, you're going to gain attention, you're going to have media interactions and things like that. So you have to make sure you handle it the right way. So that can be a tremendous builder for our chemistry, or it can be a tremendous target in our chemistry. So we want to make sure we're building that chemistry via the media and all that stuff.
And when your players really do get on board with, I don't think it's bad for players to have individual success, that as long as like you said, they point it back to the school, they point it to their parents, they point it to who they believe in, right? Like it doesn't matter how they do that. One example I always think about with this is, we had a freshman a few years ago that was really talented and got some attention in the newspaper. Well, he came into practice the next day, and I highlighted, because I didn't want to just let it go and not address this thing at all that happened, because we're a smaller school. For us to be named with some other bigger programs, like for our school, it's a big deal. And one of our juniors, who was a leader in our program, said, "Hey guys, so and so, we're so proud of you. That's big time. But remember, fellas, like our school's name is right there by him." And he said something like, this is all of us. Like once you start to get the individual accolades being celebrated throughout your team, but a reflection of your team and what they've done, I think that's a good place to be.
Yeah. And that individual attention, that's going to bring program attention.
Yeah.
And that's something that everybody wants. And so don't be envious of another guy because he's helping bring attention to the program, which, it's kind of, my guys hear all the time that rising tide lifts all ships. So if you're working to bring people up around you, then eventually you're going to get brought up as well.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.